So would you like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, so my name is Valerie. I'm the founder of New Grocery, which is Ottawa's first zero-waste grocery store. 2 years ago, I started adopting a zero-waste lifestyle after reading a book about it. And one of the aspects of the zero-waste lifestyle, it's not everything, but one of the aspects is to change the way you do your grocery shopping and to stay away from any single-use packaging. So what you do is you find bulk stores, you come to the store with your own containers, you fill them up, and this way you completely avoid packaging waste, which in a traditional grocery run is probably half of your garbage would be packaging waste, or sometimes even more. Personally, I've always been very cognizant about food waste. I grew up in Europe and my family was always quite frugal, and so we never throw away anything and we always process everything we have. But I noticed that actually when you buy in bulk, you automatically reduce your food waste, because you buy the quantities that you really need and not the quantities that are pre-packaged for you. So even without purposely doing it, you end up wasting much less food. Statistics say that Canadian households waste 30% of the food they buy. I don't know of any zero waster who would waste 30% of the food they buy. It's based on 5 principles that are called the 5 R's. You know, when we think about waste, we think maybe about 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. That's what we've been taught. But there's actually 5 R's. The first one, which is the most important one, is refuse. So you refuse the things that you do not need. And you realize that there are a lot of things that we do not need to be happy. So it's really a lifestyle of voluntary simplicity, where you sort of really analyze what makes me happy, and if it doesn't make me happy, why am I buying it? You know. Then it's the reduce. The reduce actually applies very well to fashion. Actually, you know, yes, I do need clothing. Do I need a full walk-in closet of it? No, I don't. So I reduce what I don't need. Then it's applying the reusing concept. So as I said previously, you stay away from single use. So we've really declared with our store, even in our mission and the way we communicate, we've declared a war on single use. Single-use coffee cups, single-use styrofoam trays, packagings, take-out containers, straws, everything that you use once and you discard. And it starts with a typical plastic bag that you get at the grocery store, so that would be really the number one candidate. These things, you just eliminate them from your life, and you replace them with reusable alternatives. And then number 4 would be the recycling. And as you can see, recycling really comes just in 4th place. So it's what you do once you've really exhausted all the 3 others, and you can actually reduce a lot of waste with the 3 others. I would say it's 90% of your waste reduction would come from the 3 others. And then you recycle only what you cannot refuse, reduce, or reuse. You know, that's when recycling comes into play. And you also have to understand what recycling actually is. You know, there's a lot of misconception, for example, about plastic, thinking that, well, if I buy plastic and I put it in the blue bin, it's going to be recycled, so everything's okay. And we need to educate the public about recycled plastic. Plastic first, all the plastic that you throw into your bin is not actually being recycled, because the market, the demand for used plastics is actually very small. You know, so it's really understanding what recycling actually means, and there are very few materials who are great candidates for recycling. I mean, it's basically glass and metals are great candidates for recycling, because you can really recycle them over and over again without any loss in quality. And the last thing is rot, so it would be compost. So it's really using your compost bin, and anything that is organic waste, do not send it to landfill, because we know it's a major source of methane emissions when you have organic waste stuck in a landfill. So send it to the compost, and make sure that it biodegrades and doesn't create any emissions. You apply these principles to food, absolutely. I mean, you refuse the food that you do not need, so that's the advantage of buying in bulk, is that you're not going to buy a kilogram. If you're alone at home and you know it's going to go bad, so you're just going to buy the 3 or 4 apples that you actually need. You know, so you refuse what you not need. So that's the first way to reduce food waste. You refuse, you reduce. So if there's something that you eat a little less of it, because because maybe it's not necessary to eat that much. So refuse or use, you reuse. So that would typically be repurposing, as you said. So it would be freezing things before they get bad, or using them for juicing. If you have vegetables that become a little tired, you juice them, you process them, you can them. So this way you really avoid food waste. And well, recycling with food doesn't really work. It would be the repurposing, right?
So right now we're just going ahead and filling up the Thompson raisins with, to fill up from what we have here, which is the leftovers essentially from the previous box. So what we do is we always fill up with the fresh box, and then to make sure that our customers are always have a well-presented store essentially. So basically my job throughout the day is to make sure that we're always topped up, presented, and I'll be doing the same thing for basically everything we have in the store. So this is one of our, I would say, most unique features for this store, for any bulk store realistically, because we have a self-serve cleaning product wall. So we have everything from shampoo and conditioner to liquid dish soap, as well as other bulk cleaning products like white vinegar. And we're one of the only stores, I would say, and the only store I've ever known to have white vinegar on bulk that you serve for yourself. So there's no need to buy those big plastic jugs anymore. You can bring in your own reusable container and fill it up as much or as little as you like.
Some of the personal favorites enjoyed by vegetarians and vegans alike are the raw vegan cheeses. So we have the garlic and fine herb from Fromagerie Zangari. This is one of the more popular ones. And then another local company that we're lucky enough to have in bulk is the Marcello. They do pestos. We have a sun-dried tomato as well as a vegan, the lavage and hemp, so the lavage plant, and roasted red pepper, and Genoese, which is the traditional. We have vegan cream cheese and a variety of items from Soyery, which we get on Wednesdays.
Why are they 50% off today?
They are 50% off because they do have a best buy date, so we want to respect their, the need, because we do get them in fresh. So it's not necessarily that they would spoil per se. It's just the taste is going to be best when it comes in fresh on Wednesdays. So yeah, and we do generally sell out of them, so it's nice.
So we try to apply it to the customer side. So we offer package-free products, but we also try to apply it to our supply chain. So if you see the products that we get, if you want to turn around, so these are the cleaning products that we get in those big jugs. So we fill them into our refill station. So that's the back of the refill station here. That is connected to a compressor. The compressor sort of puts pressure in this so that it flows smoothly on the other side. And once these jugs are empty, they go back to the supplier who clean them, reuse them, refill them, and bring them back to us. So here you have a concept that is a complete closed concept, or we say a circular economy, where absolutely nothing gets wasted. This thing is just perfection in terms of zero waste principle. No? This is coffee, for example. Our coffee comes into, so that's maple syrup, same thing, goes back to the supplier. Coffee comes in those buckets, it's a local roastery. Delivers the coffee here, we fill it in our dispensers, and this goes back to the supplier, reuses, completely zero waste. Same thing for the maple syrup, so this goes back to the supplier. You can see the chocolate here, for example. This goes back to the supplier, so we have another good example here. And then if you look at the rest of the packaging, we try as much as possible going with paper, so we stay away from the plastic. There's very few plastic when you look at it. It's all either paper or cardboard. So we actually have very, very little waste that comes out of food waste that comes out of our operations. We always try actually to capture the product before it gets bad and do something with it. So that's really a principle that we apply to all our fruits and vegetables, all our produce. So first step would be, well, there are different steps actually. The product is, I will say, produce is the area where you have the most waste, so I'll focus on this one. If I look at produce, if I feel that, okay, this is getting tired, we call them tired fruits and vegetables, first thing we do is we discount them. So we put them 20% off, 50% off, so to make sure that maybe someone will be happy to buy them for 50% less. If we still don't sell them, the next step will be to process them. So we would can them, we would juice them, we would make prepared foods out of them, so salads, or we have a refrigerated section, and so every now and then we have a chef who comes in, and if we have big amounts of foods, she will just process it. She will just create recipes from scratch, and so she'll have, I don't know, a quinoa salad with whatever vegetables that are left that day. So really create it from scratch. And then the last step would be, if we still have something, we will donate it to Parkdale Foods, which is just across around the corner. The zero waste lifestyle and zero waste shopping, to me, is part of a movement that is really trying to reinvent consumption and reinvent consumerism. So you're pretty young, but my generation, Generation X, we really grew up with mass consumerism. We know nothing else. So we grew up, you buy, it breaks, you throw it away, you buy something else. We've just been trained with a disposable generation. Everything's disposable in my generation. And I think we need to operate a shift where we reconsider the way we consume and become more mindful and more responsible consumers. And by doing so, we're not just going to fix the problem of waste. We're going to address climate change, which is the overarching issue of our times, right? I mean, we're going to fix so many problems by becoming different consumers. So really, what does that mean, a responsible consumer? It's a consumer who thinks about the products they buy and sees the story behind a product. So if I buy a product, I try to think, okay, where does it come from? Where was it produced? Was it produced sustainably by people earning a fair wage? Now that I have this product, what's its footprint? Does it consume a lot of energy to operate? Is it wasteful? Once I'm done using it, what happens to it? Can I give it to someone else for reuse? Can I repurpose it? Can I recycle it? Last resort, recycle it, Or does it just end up in a landfill and forever and ever, So it's really trying to have a more holistic approach on the things we buy, and just be smarter buyers, Think about the before and the after. And if we do that, I think there's a chance we might save this planet. Yeah. This is I'm going to juice tomorrow. See, there's a little bit that I need to take off here, but the rest is still can be. You cut off, the bruised parts, and then it's still perfect for juicing.
So you juice them if they're...
Yeah, for the fruits, apples typically I'll juice, so I'll mix them with kale or with carrot, ginger, so it makes really nice juices.
Every time you do apple?
So that's the one, that's the carrot, apple, ginger, lemon. Yeah, so that's the fresh juice we did yesterday. And we did, I think, 15 juices, and they're all gone, so